plains of Kansas, some thirsty F-4s come up to refuel. An ordinary occurrence, yes, but the destination of this set of F-4s is one of the most intense competitions a fighter pilot can undergo. These F-4s are heading for Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida, the home of William Tell. They are here from all over the world, from Iceland and Okinawa, from Alaska and Texas, from Oregon and Canada. This is the center of the known world when it comes to fighter-interceptor tactics. For several days, once every other year, the best of the best get together to see who is the best of all. William Tell was, of course, the famous archer who was forced to shoot an apple from his son's head. Hitting the target without a miss is exactly what these pilots have in mind. The competition is among teams in two categories, F-15 and CF-18. Also the F-4s, with separate winners in each category. The teams are composed of air crews, controllers, and aircraft maintenance specialists. The team with the highest total points will be the overall meet winner. Here's Major Danny Oliver of the 475th Weapons Evaluation Group, the host unit of William Tell.
Well, in combat, you're being graded in the ultimate. In this case, they are being graded in the ultimate also. And it is the spirit of competition, the spirit of accomplishment, and the spirit of applying your skills at the very top level. These flyers represent world class. And what they learn is when you're under pressure, how you will perform. And they are under the ultimate pressure here with the video real time, all their bosses, their families, and their country looking on.
Not only are we dealing with some of the best pilots in the world, the top equipment is also on hand. Here's the roll call of the hardware being employed by the players in this most competitive game. The F-15 Eagle is the Air Force's top-of-the-line air superiority fighter. Its multi-mission avionics include advanced radar, inertial navigation system, internal electronics countermeasures, and the thrust to make it all go at 2.5 times the speed of sound. Now, let's take a look at the target these pilots will be trying their best to find and engage. This is the QF-100 drone. It's a specially modified F-100 Super Sabre, which can be flown by remote control. It is capable of supersonic flight and has a full range of evasive maneuver capability. It can also carry electronic countermeasures to confuse an attacker. In short, it is a worthy, albeit unmanned, opponent.
The QF-100 is a fighter that completed its entire life as a fighter. It was created as a new weapon system and dedicated to the target role. It is a full fighter capable of turns, barrel rolls, all air combat maneuvering that you would see in a opposing aircraft, a MiG if you would fly very similar to what we present to the competitors.
It makes for some pretty amazing displays of gunnery and flying. All the results are tabulated and posted on a scoreboard that is there for everyone to see. As each aircrew flies a profile, the outcome of the competition becomes more and more clear. Like any other team sport, there are spectators and a rooting section.
The biggest thing I learned today was, hey, that's why we train. You know, I was nervous taking off out of here, and I won't, lie about it. But doggone it, when we got out there, it was just like, hey, I've done this before. I've done this 20 times before, and that's what you train for. And to me, if I ever went to war, I guess I'd really be nervous, just like anyone else would the first 2 or 3 times. But then it's like, this is what we train for. This is the way it is.
And so the competition called William Tell is over. Until next time, that is. Then, once again, the skies will be charged with the excitement of the hunt. Lessons will be learned that can only be learned in the crucible of aerial combat. And we will know who really is the best of the best. The cold gray dawn rises over the mountains. The clouds are just beginning to part, revealing some of the most formidable and breathtaking country on earth. As the early morning light slowly falls upon the snow-capped peaks, a distinctive sound begins to drift through the forests and foothills. You've reached a very special part of America, Alaska, the home of the F-15 Eagles of the 21st Tactical Fighter Wing. This is Elmendorf Air Force Base, headquarters of the Alaska Air Command. You're about to witness a drama. It is a story of airplanes and people, played out on a stage like nowhere else in the world. Many times, this is how it starts, with the thunder of afterburners echoing through snow-laden valleys.
Well, it starts with a motto, top cover for North America. It's the Alaskan Air Command motto and really relates to the wing. Now, we provide air defense against intrusion, in this case, our primary threat being from the Soviet Union for the defense of North America.
The wing commander of the 21st is Colonel H.S. Storer, Jr., a man who oversees the tip of the spear when it comes to providing deterrence in a strategically vital part of the world. Elmendorf Air Force Base is located right outside of Anchorage. The base was built in the early 40s and played a key role in the defense of Alaska during the Japanese invasion of the Aleutian Islands during World War II. Today, the F-15s are here to provide eternal vigilance against the threats that can come looming out of the frozen north. For years, this has been a focal point of U.S. air defense. The vast territory of Alaska covers more than 500,000 square miles and several time zones. It is the job of the Alaska Air Command to make sure it's all secure, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There is also a recognition that the Soviet Union is a mere 44 miles away at its closest point.
We are the closest state, of course, to them. And because of that, the F-15s based out of Elmendorf here are in a position to make more contact with them than many other locations.
And now the Soviets have the ability to launch the so-called Kent cruise missile that can threaten U.S. soil from longer distances than ever before. In the past, these F-15s have intercepted more than 50 Soviet aircraft in a year. In a few moments, we'll meet a Russian bomber up close and personal. But first, let's learn more about the machines and the men who fly them. Here's Lieutenant Colonel Mel Copeland of the 43rd Tactical Fighter Squadron.
The kinds of officers and enlisted folks that we acquire for the Air Force are top-notch. They receive the best training we can give them, from basic training right up to combat-ready fighter pilots that are flying these airplanes and all the technicians that are working on them.
However, one of the first challenges the personnel of the Alaska Air Command learn to deal with is the weather. What begins as a sunny day can quickly turn cold and rainy. With almost shocking speed, distant mountain peaks are suddenly obscured by low clouds and fog. And then, of course, there's the cold. Cold that can test the mettle of a man as well as machine. Lieutenant John Madison, maintenance officer.
But the biggest problem is when it gets down to 20 and 30 below zero, to work on the airplanes out here in the elements is near impossible without some kind of outside heat source.
Today at Elmendorf, however, rain was what Mother Nature had in mind. But when it's time to launch, the weather is a mere annoyance, not a hindrance. The 21st is now equipped with newer F-15Cs. The C model has up to 600 miles greater range than its predecessor. It can also carry the conformal fuel tanks to extend flight time even more, all of which provides a greater margin of safety. When you're dealing with the distances of Alaska, that could mean the difference between life and death.
F-15 is probably the most capable interceptor aircraft and air-to-air aircraft in the world, bar none. It's got a fantastic radar that allows us to pick up targets much farther out than the old F-4 used to, and of course it's a highly maneuverable aircraft.
About 75% of the training here is devoted to air superiority. That means pilots are not only trained over the huge ranges of Alaska, but also participate in major exercises like Red Flag and William Tell. In fact, you're looking at the team that the Alaska Air Command is sending to the William Tell Fighter Interceptor Competition in Florida. From Elmendorf, the Eagles deploy to remote bases such as Galena and King Salmon. From there, it's on to meet the Soviets. But it takes a lot of teamwork to get to that point. First, there are the efforts of these people. This is called the ROC, or Regional Operations Control Center. Here, information from a network of radars all over the state is displayed on screens that are monitored around the clock. Anything that moves is checked against existing flight plans and electronic profiles. But the ROC is not alone in the detection job. Elmendorf is also home to a detachment of airborne warning and control airplanes, better known as the E-3 AWACS. Its huge dome is able to scan hundreds of miles of airspace, picking up everything from high-flying bombers to low-flying cruise missiles.
They're a big asset to Alaskan Air Command. AWACS combined with the ROC gives us total coverage of our area responsibility.
And then there's the tanker fleet. Air crews rely on the flying gas stations to extend their range and time on station as long as necessary to do the job.
It's a huge area. We've got more coastline than any other state. In fact, we've got more coastline than the United States as a whole added up. That, plus the proximity to the Soviet Union, makes it a real challenge.
And it all culminates at the moment when the bear is finally sighted. The moment of truth makes the heart race a bit faster. This is like no bear hunt you've ever seen in your life, and the stakes are much higher than a trophy on the wall. The Eagles take a close and careful look. In this case, it's a Bear H, the cruise missile-carrying variety. And don't let the turboprops fool you. It can move right along.
It's an older type-looking aircraft, turboprop, but it can move right along at about 0.8 Mach. So, being a fighter, we do have to slow down a little bit, but not too much.
got the navigation whenever you need to stay on track. Understand, sir.
The Eagle's drivers scan every inch of the bomber, looking for telltale signs of any new capability the Soviets may have added. But the encounters are not without their human side as well.
Normally here in the wing, we're just doing our mission. We'll intercept them, take the pictures, and just observe them. But oh yeah, we see them wave. I've seen Coke cans. I saw one guy hold up a Newsweek magazine. And I think they get as much a thrill as we do.
The cat and mouse game can go on for hours. But soon it's time to break off and head back to King Salmon or Galena, or perhaps another of the far-flung outposts of the 21st Tactical Fighter Wing. As we've seen, it takes the efforts of many people to make it all work. What looks easy to the average person is actually a consequence of practice and determination to succeed. In fact, that's part of the attraction for the pilots to begin with.
I can't deny that flying an airplane is fun. It's an exciting thing to do. Flying the F-15 is that much more exciting. It's a wonderful aircraft. It's a wonderful mission. But in truth, the thing that I stay in for is the camaraderie, the professionalism, duty, honor country, all those things. And most of these fellows feel the same way.
I enjoy all of it. Well, I'm glad we make the F-15 because it's quite a machine. I like working with the people. It's just a great job, and they sure don't pay me to fly the F-15. It's all the additional duties that we get paid for, but it's a great machine, good mission, and a great bunch of people.
And for Colonel Storer, it's comments like these which serve to make his job rewarding.
We've got excellent equipment. The F-15 is an outstanding piece of machinery. We've got superb radar. We've got AWACS, all excellent pieces of equipment. But the real key that holds the whole thing together is the people. Their motivation and training, initiative, basically takes raw materials and turns them into positive results. And I think that more than anything else, that's the one thing that makes the 21st TAC Fighter Wing and the Alaskan Air Command doing our mission up here successful.
In the future, the Alaska Air Command will continue to provide the bite behind the bark of the U.S. Northern Defense Perimeter. For now, the sun is out again, raising spirits and showing once again the changeability of this stunning but foreboding environment. There are, however, some things that are constant. One is the beauty of this rugged landscape, and the other, the sight of F-15s streaking through the northern sky. the entire story is being told. Desert Storm. We know it was a battle of tremendous scope. Thousands of airplanes, men, women, and materials. But as with any battle, it must be fought by individuals. Singular people who have to climb into the cockpits to shoot down the bogies, fly into harm's way to drop the bombs, or keep it all going by loading the ordnance and maintaining the birds. This is not a story of the big picture. Here we will look at just one day, one set of missions, and experience it from right where it all comes together, in the cockpits of the F-16s and F-15s. This, as we will learn, is what air superiority is all about. And this is the reason why Desert Storm turned out as it did. Early morning, somewhere in the desert of Saudi Arabia, a group of F-16 jocks discuss the upcoming mission.
The thing I said about select the nose tail is out of there now. Right? For the 113s, select nose only. For the 904s, 905s, that'll be nose tail.
Already they have been out dozens of times, found hundreds of targets, and dropped a seemingly endless stream of bombs. Meanwhile, the ground crew is loading up the ordnance. They work quickly, realizing this is just one of several missions that will be flown on this day alone.
As far as how quick we do it, it's just how quick the pilot can get back up in the air. And they're happy with the way we're doing it because the max time I believe that the pilots are having to sit on the ground is about 30 minutes. So as soon as he can get here, within 30 minutes he can be back up and heading back to hit them again.
The last of the F-16s are topped off with fuel. The Vulcan cannon is filled with shells, and the fragile airplane literally seems to droop from the weight of its deadly cargo. At this point, there is a sense of anticipation and the not-so-secret hope that not only will the bombs be dropped on target, but perhaps some Iraqi aircraft will come out to fight as well.
Obviously, it's a lot more fun when you know there's not, I wouldn't say fun because I hate to say it, but we'd like to come up and play with the air threat. I know you've heard other people talk about, but obviously all the guys, especially us in the F-16, we'd like to see a little more some of the air threat. This is a real good air-to-air dogfighter. So I guess maybe we're kind of crazy, but we like to see that part.
Meanwhile, the F-15 pilots are set to provide combat air patrol for the strike. They too hope the Iraqi aircraft will come up to fight, because undoubtedly these aircraft will be the first to engage.
I trained a lot of guys up there flying those airplanes, so I'm kind of up there with them. I got a chance to teach them how to fly the F-15 when they first started out. Now they're up there doing a very good job. Their training is just absolutely magnificent. The training they've done, the training their commanders have given them while they've been here in theater is just absolutely superb.
And now, from many different locations, the many groups of aircraft begin the complicated process of carrying out a strike. You are flying back seat in an F-16B. Slowly, throttles are advanced, and like some lumbering parade, you and your fellow pilots head for the active runway. Banking away, you head to your cruise altitude for the approach to the target, and you are not alone. EF-111s are dashing off to find and jam Iraqi radars. 1 week into the war, there are actually very few active radar sites left in Iraq. But just in case, the sleek gray jammers will be hanging around. And to help out the F-15s, the AWACS, with its huge radome, is set to scan the skies looking for bogies far outside the range of the Eagle's pilot's own radar. The strike is underway. Soon the F-15s arrive on station and sweep the skies. Their role is crucial.
You know, I've trained for a long time to go up there and fly an F-15 and fire missiles in an enemy airplane. I don't want to kill anybody, but I certainly would like to be doing what I was trained for, you know, the defense of my country and my ground troops and things like that. I'd love to be doing it.
Meanwhile, the F-16s have found the tanker and begin taking on fuel. It is a long way to the target, and with all the extra weight, the fuel burn is terrific. At last, the F-16s are free to head for the target, and with the F-15s providing cover, they swoop down with telling results on the ground. With stunning speed, it is over. And as the F-16s dash for home, the F-15s make one final sweep of the area. As we go, a pilot provides a remarkable running commentary on what we are seeing and experiencing.
Today has been a mixed sweep. We've taken off, gone to the central region of Saudi Arabia. I'm going to a turn right here. We take our gas, and we're basically tied to nobody. We go straight up into Iraq and sweep the airfields, utilizing minimum communication so as to not reveal our position, and sweep for any fighter activity or helicopter activity for that matter. The emphasis primarily has been on the eastern border to prevent the Iraqis from escaping into Iran, but additionally we sweep west, north, and south as well. Today we started from the central, swept up toward Baghdad, hung a right to the east, looked at several airfields in the southeastern and eastern sector, ran the Iranian border, repeated that a couple of times, and then came back to Saudi Arabia to refuel.
Finally, dusk begins to overtake the skies. In the distance, a column of smoke forms a lingering sign that the target has been hit, and hit hard. History has shown the constant airstrikes during Desert Storm proved decisive and demoralizing to the Iraqis.
I can't imagine sitting there in a bunker, if they're in their defensive positions or wherever they are, listening to that constant pounding, and also watching their tanks and things blow up. I can't imagine that would be very moralizing for them. They have to be getting down in the dumps, I would say.
At last, even the more lightly loaded F-15s need to take on some gas for the trip home. One last display of airmanship, because as with so many things in military aviation, the margin for error is slim to none. Now, as your F-16 begins to descend back to the base, you can feel the tension wane just a bit. But there is also an awareness that the heart rate will soon go up again, with the next mission just around the corner. During Desert Storm, pilots of many nations flew more than 100,000 sorties against the Iraqis. When the ground war finally began, it took only 100 hours to achieve the objective. Air power was crucial. But as you can see, every one of those sorties was accomplished by one pilot at a time, one airplane at a time, one step at a time, over and over and over again.